Hey friends, it's Summer with hammondsnest.com. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you're having a great day and that you enjoy seeing this idea. I'm going to get creative with these two craft boards that I picked up at Walmart. They were $2.50 each. That's it. So what I'm doing now is just getting all the rope that came with them, and I'm actually going to reuse that, repurpose that later on. So set that to the side. Now we've just got these blank boards. Now I've got this really thin painter's tape that I decided to create a border on this because we are going to be painting this. We're going to be turning it into a chalkboard. So once I get this edge taped off, because that's going to create a beautiful stain border for me, I'm going to go ahead and seal off the edges of this painter's tape with just some Mod Podge. If you haven't seen this technique, it simply helps you get cleaner lines, because once that dries, then I'll be able to paint it with my black chalk paint. Now this is chalk paint, not necessarily chalkboard paint, but the beautiful thing about this, I'm using Dixie Belle's brand and I'm quite familiar with it. I've used it for years. And if you put it on in 3 different coats, one going diagonal, one going horizontal, and one going vertical, letting each coat dry in between, it makes a really nice chalkboard surface you can erase and wipe down and keep, using over and over again. So that's what I'm doing here. Got my first diagonal coat on both of these boards. Then I'm letting that dry and then coming back with the horizontal coat. I'm going to get both of these done and then we'll just go ahead and skip to the third thing. So these are both dry again. Now it's time for that final coat with a vertical. What this does is it just preps this board, seals all the pores, go in all different directions, and it's good to go. So see the beautiful lines on this? I'm going ahead and pull this up while it's wet. But before we move on to the next step, I'm going to let both of them dry, okay? Now we're all dry. Pulling those ropes back out that we kept from taking and popping them off of how they came when I picked them up in the craft section at Walmart. And I'm cutting 2 4-inch pieces of rope. Funny thing, my camera skipped forward on me, and so you didn't really get to see what I did, but all I did was glue the 2 4-inch strips on the back to keep those together. So what we're doing, if you can't tell yet, we're creating an easel out of these boards. Now that my chalk paint is dry, I'm actually going to season it, is what it's called. And it's when you rub chalk all over it and then wipe it down. That helps prevent ghost letters if you're going to be using it as an actual chalkboard. Now, you probably could skip this step because this thing stands great on its own already after we glued the rope on the back. But I am drilling holes through the bottom because I'm going for a little bit more of a rustic look, and I'm actually going to use some more of that rope, keeping in mind I haven't used any other materials except for a little bit of Mod Podge and black chalk paint. All this was the boards that came with it, so we're in this like $5 and a little bit of paint. And so I'm going to use the rope. Now this could be however wide you want this to sit, but you're just going to tie knots on the outside and it's going to keep it from opening all the way up. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done on one side, get the other side to match, and it's good to go once we trim off all the excess. All right. Now, as I sat here and looked at this, thought about writing something on it, it just needed to be dressed up just a little bit. And you know what does that? A good bow. So one of my little simple layered bows, I've got some window pane ribbon, some polka dot ribbon I picked up at Dollar Tree, and some black stripe fabric I got at Hobby Lobby. And I just cut little strips, layered it back and forth, crisscrossed in my hand. If you haven't seen this, I do have other tutorials on this type of bow. But now I'm just going to trim that up. I'm going to glue it on top. And our little chalkboard easel flipped from 2 craft boards from Walmart for $2.50 each. So $5 with a little bit of ribbon and a little bit of chalk paint, and we're good to go. So, all right. Now you could use chalk pencils. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but here's a little tip for you. I always love to give you a quick crafty tip if you've never seen this before. Like a crayon sharpener and white chalk, and you can sharpen regular chalk to a point so you can write with it. How neat is that? Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this idea and it inspired you to do one of your own. Check out the craft section at Walmart. There's a lot of great stuff. There's even a white distress board like this that I've used before, and so maybe you could get a whole different look. And you can use any color of the Dixie Belle chalk paints to create a chalkboard. So I went classic with the black, but a lot of colors will look great. Thanks again for watching and hanging out with me, and join me next time for another crafty idea. Bye, y'all.